Mountains to climb and conquer. That's not just a metaphor for my next guest. When Lisa Thompson reached the summit of K2, one of the most dangerous mountains in the world, she was only the second American woman to do so. But Lisa's story starts before that, here in Seattle. She's a mountaineer, cancer survivor, and now author. Finding Elevation is the story about overcoming doubt, the struggle for purpose, and a push beyond boundaries. Whew, you're not kidding. Joining us now is Lisa Thompson. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Okay, I gotta say, this is crazy. K2 is the highest peak. It's actually not even the highest peak.
Right.
You've summited. You did Everest before that.
That's right.
Where did this climbing bug come from? What made you say, that giant mountain, I'm gonna climb that?
Well, I like to say it started with spite. So shortly after I moved here to Seattle, I was the only woman in my group at the company that I worked for. And these guys were great guys, but as you know, climbing is part of the culture here.
Yeah, it is.
So they would regularly go climbing, never asked me to join them, and I desperately wanted to be a part of their group.
Right.
So instead of doing like the logical thing, which would be to just ask,
yeah,
I decided I'd go climbing on my own. Okay. And K2 is where I ended up 10 years later. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yes.
So that wasn't just it. You didn't just, have that struggle. You also got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015.
Correct.
And then 3 weeks after breast reconstruction, you said, hey, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to climb Everest. Why was it so crucial for you to make that decision? And why then, when your body was still healing? Like, what was the brain process?
My doctors asked me that same question. They were a little confused too. But cancer put a lot of things in perspective for me, like it does with many people.
Yeah.
And I realized that life is incredibly fragile and that it's up to each of us to define the lives that we will lead. And so for me, that meant spending as much time as I could in the mountains and using that as an environment and a platform to really learn about myself.
That seems a lot more than most of us are capable of doing in that sense. So you did Everest and then K2. You said, let's do K2 a few years later. You said it was the hardest mountain you've ever had to tackle. You wanted to quit every day.
Every day.
Let's listen to what you had to say right after or shortly after you did climb K2.
And in those moments when I didn't think that I was strong enough and I thought that all of those people that doubted me were right, I asked myself, is this all that I'm capable of? And every day, my honest answer was no. I was just tired, or I was scared, or I was uncertain. So I chose to keep climbing.
Wow, that question you asked, is that all that I'm capable of? That seems like a question I don't have to be on top of a mountain to ask myself.
So true, so true. And I love that it's really relatable, and that's something I talk about in my book. And there are days when, for me, that question is posed like, can I really tackle all these emails today? Like, it comes up sometimes in the most benign situations, but it's really, really been useful to guide me.
You know, a friend of mine, she climbed Rainier.
Awesome.
And I feel like that is a huge thing. And I think all the time, I would love to be able to climb a mountain.
You should do it.
I would love to be able to. But, people say, it's hard now. You've got kids, a full-time job. You don't have the time, and you really have to train.
You do.
Do you have that time? Like, can anybody do this?
Yes, yes. I absolutely think that it's possible for anyone to do it. It's a matter of determining why it's important to you. So what will I accomplish, hopefully, by summiting that peak? What will I learn about myself or about other people or about what I'm capable of? And I think when you know that, then that creates the desire and the drive to push through and to find a way to make it a priority.
You also recently led an all-women's expedition to Nepal. What was that like?
Oh my gosh, it was the best expedition I've been on. Along with some climbing girlfriends, decided that we wanted to create a team of all women. So all women porters, all women base camp crew, and it was such a freeing and fun and egoless experience that it's what I want to keep doing.
So you went just to base camp in Nepal, not up to Everest, because that's even getting to base camp is really hard, right?
It is. It's a very arduous climb. So I went in 2016, went to base camp first and then all the way to the summit, which is a 2-month-long process of climbing from one camp to the next and then descending to let your body acclimatize, and then a few days later climbing to the next higher camp.
My goodness. Thank you so much for sharing this inspiration, and you can find more inspiration in her book, Finding Elevation. It has been a pleasure talking with you, Lisa.
Thanks for having me, likewise.
Absolutely.